Hi, and welcome to the video for Note 3. I'm starting off on our main page because what we're going to cover today is shape tweening and the assignment's going to be name and animate. You could do it either as a movie or an animated GIF because I'm going to show you all those different formats that we can save out to. And it's going to be kind of fun. So let's get started. Let's animate. And I've been practicing this and I left it on because it worked perfectly, which is a rare occasion. So I'm sure I'm going to have all sorts of issues when I practice this in front of you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go File, New. And I'm going to go with the default setting and we're going to hit Create. And what I want to do is, first of all, this is... Oh, come on, let's get up there. There we go. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to type in a word, but first I'm going to center this, make sure it's 100%, and then I'm going to find my text tool right here. I'm going to click inside, and this is my properties bar right over here. I've already made it really high, 99. I could actually make it a little bit higher and do 120, and then that shows you what the text is going to look like when we stick it in. We're going to be using static text, and then I'm using Comic Sans Serif. And how I did that is I just came over here to this drop down box and I went hunting for it. Now one of the nice things, oops, let's get back to here. Notice that the property bar changed to what tool that I'm using. If I wanted to, I could go and add some web fonts to this. I can actually go to Adobe's site and download those. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just type in and, come on, I'm going to type in here, thank you, Animate. And I do not like that font. I lost my comic because I was typing in here. So let's use the drop down box right there. Come on. Ah, you've got to be kidding me. There. For some reason the drop down menu is not working, so I'm going to use that instead. Just type it in. And if I like that, I can also change it. It's bold right now. I can do bold italic, which sometimes is kind of cool. Typically for smaller font sizes, I don't like italic, but when it gets to be this big, it's okay. Bold's also fine. Now, just like before, anything that's in this layer is going to automatically be put in there. And what I want to do is, I've got it, I'm going to use my selection tool. I'm going to come over here, and before I get started, I'm going to come, let's say, I'm going to slide all the way over here to like 40, and I'm going to hit F5. Now the reason I'm doing this is it's going to save me later on messing with and adding F5s after that. So I'm back here, I've got my Animate selected, I'm going to move it up here. I still want it to be a little bigger, so I'm going to click on this and drag one of the handlebars or selection bars to make it bigger. Now it is considered one object, so what I want to do is I'm going to go Modify and Break Apart. And what that allows me to do is it creates it as some single object. So the A is its own object, and you can tell by the little box here, same way with the N and the rest of the letters, even down to the E. So if I wanted to move them around separately, I no longer will be considered one object like the Animate was when we first started. So what I'm going to do next is a really cool feature, and let's go Modify, Timeline, Distribute to Layers. And now what's happened is we had layer 1, which is right here, that used to have all that information there. I can actually just select it right here and go to the trash can because Animate's no longer there. It has been separated into each one of the layers. Now, it always drives me crazy that they don't have this be the top layer, but I can understand why, because that's A is the bottom layer. Now what I'm going to do is a little trick. I'm going to make it look like it's typing. So that's my A layer. I like it where it's at. I'm going to lock it. I'm going to click on my N layer, And notice that I'm going to click and drag it over here. Now I know I actually got the layer, is that black arrow with the little box there. That's telling me that I've just grabbed the end. So now notice that when I move my slider over here, the end disappears. Well, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to bring it over to 10, and I'm going to click on the box first and then click and drag this over to frame 10. Here, click, then click and drag, come over to 15, click, oop. That's what, oh, I'm glad I did that. This is one of my favorite mistakes to make, is I'm not paying close enough attention and I accidentally drop it down to the wrong layer. So now I'm going to come all the way over here, drop it, click, and then click and drag. I still have my mouse button selected, just in case you were wondering, and that's how I'm able to drag it all the way over here. And then I'm going to click, and drag around 30. So now what I can do is I can click right here, and then I'm going to use my arrow here that takes me to the keyframe on that layer. So it takes it to the next layer on the left, which is all the way to the beginning. I'm really disappointed that they don't have a really easy way to go to the very beginning. That's kind of disappointing. But notice that on this layer, my A stays there. I don't have any other letters. I can now hit my enter key, which starts playing, and then I've just typed in animate. I'm going to hit enter again because it just plays it again. Very good. Now, if I wanted to, let's say I've got too many frames and I don't want it to stick around like that. If I wanted to, I could click and hold down my mouse button like that and get all those and then highlight it. Oop, too far. Highlight it to the end and then right click and remove frames. That's how I can delete it, but I kind of like them. I just wanted to show you that you can do that. And what I'm doing is I'm actually selecting multiple frames at one time. Although I'm not going all the way up to the top, so I really probably glad I didn't do it that way. Come down to the here, click and drag. Oop, no, don't want to do that. Come back, click and drag. So I've got them all selected. There we go. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just kind of have some fun with it. I'm going to click on my A layer. I'm going to hit F6, which puts in a keyframe for that. And I'm going to come back to the first layer, and I'm going to actually, oop, I locked it, sorry. I'm going to click, drag it over here. So now when I hit enter, it starts off with a blank screen. And then all of a sudden A appears. Well, what I want to do next is I'm going to right click here and create a classic tween. And then it's saying, hey, you know, commit it to an object. And so there I go. Well, now I'm going to do the same thing with an N. I'm going to come over here and hit F6. And I'm going to create a classic tween. And then I'm going to come back to my first N, and I'm going to drag that up here. I'm going to do the same thing with my I. I'm going to click right here. I don't have to be on exactly 5. I just like to do it just for grins. I'm going to hit my F6 again. I'm going to do my tween. Right click, classic tween. And then I'm going to take my I, and I'm actually going to move this up a little bit there. I'm also going to make this smaller so I can see the whole. I'm going to go 75 there and center it there. And I'm going to take that original I and I'm going to drag it way down here. So now let's take a peek at what's going on. There we go. I can just hit enter like that. And then I just repeat the process like that. So all I'm doing is I'm inserting a keyframe, I'm doing a tween, and then I'm moving the original one. And then if I want to reverse it and break it up once the word is created, I could do the exact opposite of what I'm doing. I don't need to go through and do all of this for you. It's just real repetitive, but just know that you have two keyframes, you do a tween, and then you move the original, or you can move the ending if you really wanted to. So that's how we do that. Now I'm going to come back here and, oh, you know, shame on me, go File, Save. And I am going to call this Note 3 and hit Save. Now I'm going to do File, New. Create that. Drag it up there, center it that way. So I'm just moving this around. I'm going to come over to my type tool again, and I'm going to change the color because I'm tired of blue. I'm going to go with more of a reddish or red, and I'm going to type in Adobe. Oops. Pay attention to what you're doing, John. There we go. Click. Oh, come on. It's one of the reasons I don't like quick keys too, by the way. So I got my comic style. I got that. I'm going to type in Adobe. Now I cannot see that fill color right there, even though I know it's white. I just happen to know where it is, so I'm going to click on red. But I want to have it, nothing changes. I have to have it highlighted in order for it to go. So I come back here, click on my fill color, and go red. I did that intentionally so you can actually see a little mistake and then fix it. Now obviously I could drag this around, but it doesn't change the size like it does some of the other programs. We actually have to have the transform tool to do that. And so I'm going to make Adobe a little bit bigger like that, and then I'm going to kind of try to center it. Now I'm going to have some fun with this because I'm not very happy with Adobe today because it was giving me all sorts of grief. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go modify, break it apart. Now it's on its own object, so it's an ADOBE object all on one layer. I'm going to leave it on a layer this time. Or I can spread them out if I really truly wanted to. But what I'm going to show you is another trick. I've got them still selected. I'm going to go modify, break apart a second time. And then what that does is it makes it into an object that I can manipulate. And how I know that is I like to call them polka dots, but it's just the dotted part right there. So now, just like we did with other shapes, I can come over here, grab my selection tool, come back, and I cannot see it. Ah, there we go. I can see it here. I click and drag. I can click and drag. So I can actually take my Adobe and create some new letters. Oops, missed. There we go. And, you know, that's the difference between having the four arrows versus the semicircle. The semicircle says you're going to be able to change it. I can actually go like that, or like that, or like that. Same way here. I got four. Now I got my semicircle. I can grab it like that. Now notice that when I moved it over just a little teeny bit, I got that semi-rectangle. That means it's going to keep it a point instead of a semicircle like that is. But if I come over here, if I find a good spot, and it's not going to let me do it. Ah, there we go, that E. I can drag it out like that. So how did I take my text and be able to manipulate it? I took the text that I wrote out, which was Adobe. I broke it apart. It was now separate letters. And then I broke it apart again so that it was now manipulatable objects like that, and like that, and like that. And then if I truly wanted to, I could come back here and go Modify, Timeline, Distribute to Layers, and it would not do it. Why? Because that was selected. Let's try that again. Click up here, Modify, Timeline, Distribute to Layers. There we go. And then the original layer, which is layer 1. Now, before it knew what to do with the ADOBE, but since I've modified it, it doesn't consider it to be text, so that's why it's layer 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't know that that's actually an E or an O or an A anymore because I modified it so much. But once again, I've got this. I can manipulate it. I can actually do what we call a shape tween. So I'm going to click right here in my Adobe, and I'm going to go right there and add an F5. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to go shape tween. And then I'm going to come back here. Didn't I get shape tween? F5. Oh, F6, that's what it is. Oh, boo-boo. Right click. I still have a shape tween, so hopefully I didn't screw it too much. I was being dyslexic there, sorry about that. Let's come back here and manipulate it like that. No, I don't want to do that anymore. So let's see what happens here now. I'm just going to hit enter. So that's a shape tween. So I'm taking a shape and I'm changing it. I can do the same thing with an O. I'm going to come over here and hit F6. And then I'm going to do a shape tween. And then I'm going to come back here to this O. I'm going to click outside of it, get real close, like that. And there I hit enter. Changes shape. Well, I'm going to do that one more time. Let's go File, New, Create. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to start off with a rectangle tool. I'm going to have a nice red box. And I'm seriously thinking about being bored with that. I'm going to take that red box. I'm going to change this fill. Notice how I selected it. I can take a blue. And then I can come over here to frame 10, hit F6. And then if I wanted to change it to an oval, I can just hit delete. And then I come down here and go oval. Now notice that I'm not using the primitive tool, because the primitive tool creates it as an object, and then I would have to break it apart in order to do that. But you know what would be really nice is right now I've got this point here and I got this point here. It'd be nice if I aligned them up. Well, there's this little icon right here that says onion skinned. And what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to select everything on this, and then I can come over here and move it to right in there. When I turn off the onion skin, the box goes away. So that's how it allows me to align it from the previous one. And then just like I showed you with the two different letters, I can right click in here and create a shape tween. And watch this. Oh, isn't that cool? But I'm going to make it one step even cooler. I'm going to come in here, click on that color. I don't like that anymore. I'm going to change it to yellow. And now I got blue to yellow. Well, if I wanted to, let's go S to C, square to circle, and I'm going to add another layer. This will be on top of it. I'm going to do Poly Star tool. I'm going to start off with a star, which is the setting that I had last time. If I wanted it to go to a polygon, which I'm eventually going to do, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to hit an F6, I'm going to hit delete, and then I'm going to come back to my polygon tool, but this time instead I'm going to select polygon. And I'm going to draw a polygon. But of course I want to change the color too while I'm at it, so I'm going to go maybe a green. Oops, sorry, didn't have my fill selected. Go to a green. There we go. Now let me hit the onion skins so I can do the alignment. Oh, that wasn't bad for eyeballing it, so let's go here. I'm going to hit enter. Now let me turn off the onion skins. But I've got a little problem. You know, it jumps right there for one very good reason. Notice that it's gray here. I did not do my shape tween. Now I turn on the shape tween, and there it pops in. So that's the key there. If you see these colors, that means shape tween. Now they changed the color. I haven't checked it out in the different settings because it used to be a totally different color. I actually kind of like this changing color because it's more obvious that it's a different type of tween, so you can visually look at it. Now another thing you might want to do is you might be control happy, and what you want to do is you want to go modify, shape, and then modify, shape, shape hints. So that's going to be my, I'm going to go right here, I'm going to go that one, and then I'm going to right click and add a hint, and then drag it there. Got to be actually on the hint, right click, add hint. So I'm going around this way. I can be on that one or any other one, and I can just go right click, add hint. There we go. So I've got 4 points that I want it to match. I'm going to come all the way over here with my slider. And that was D, that was C, that was B, and that was A. Now come to think of it, since I had a 5-point star and a 5-point square, I probably could have put a shape hint here and a shape hint there. There we go. Now, we've gotten a lot of stuff here. What I want to do is I want to go File, Save, and I'm going to call this Note 3. Come on, where are we? I don't, there we go. And I'm going to call it Note 3B. Hit Save. Now, I want to export this, but before I do this, I want to do my File, Publish Settings. And what pops up is the dialog box like this. The number one thing that's going to drive me absolutely buggy, and it's going to cost you points, is if you leave the loop on. Please turn this off. Now there's a really cool feature where you can just click right here and you can create a profile and then just save the profile as turned off loop. This is really nice, and that's why having this at home is a really cool feature. Now, the way we publish this is it's going to be an HTML5 with JavaScript and then some images. So I'm going to go File, Publish. There we go. And then OK. And then if I have any issues right there, it'll pop up. So I'm going to go File, Save, since I made changes to what I've done. Now, that's one way to export out things, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. Let's go Control, Test. Hit Reload. There. It's going to be a little mini movie. Now, another thing I can do is I can go File, Export, Export Animated GIF. Oh, yeah, of course it will do that. Come here. What's happened is it pops off to my left. Let me hit cancel and try that one again. File, Export, Animated GIF. Oh, and I can't grab it. It's not giving me anywhere to grab, so I can click and drag it over. Oh, fart. Well, you're just going to have to believe me for now, and then I will try to fix it later. But you can export it as an animated GIF, and then just, man, that really is bad. It didn't do a good job on this at all. I'm going to hit Save. And of course this pops over here. And then what I want to do is I'm saving it into my animated files. I'm not sticking it in here, and there's a reason for that, and I'll tell you that in a bit. Save. Now I'm also going to go File, Export, Export Video Movie. Don't go over there again. And it locked up. Let me try that again. Yep, locked up. Yeah, that or it's hiding somewhere. Let me. Nope. Well, I'll come back to this in a bit. So let me hit stop.